Hello.
Hi.
Thanks for coming back to us on Bernama today. You're still with us, Elaine, as well as Jessie. We're in the studio speaking to Faridah Hameed, our leadership coach. We have a very interesting topic of conversation today. So eager to get this started.
I know, we already started debating this during the commercial break. Are degrees becoming worthless? Welcome back to the studio, Faridah. Thanks for being with us. So yes, we were debating a little bit this day and age, people are becoming entrepreneurs. Are degrees relevant any longer? I still think, yes, it's very relevant.
She's still
Elaine,
old school.
I'm a bit old school there.
For the longest time, of course, university degree is the gateway. It's the passport. It's the go-to paper certificate to sort of stamp, verify, saying that, oh, you're qualified or you're skilled or you're worthwhile to hire. But last year, of course, you mentioned that tech companies like Google, Apple, IBM in the US announced that not having that four-year degree would no longer be a barrier to getting that job.
And that's huge.
And because they are the holy grail of jobs.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are the titans, right? The tech titans. So when they make an announcement like that, everyone sits up and takes notice. So this is what has happened. They announced this last year. I think they were among 12 companies that were surveyed that said that it would not be if you don't have a four-year traditional degree, that it doesn't mean that they're not going to employ you. And the reason they said that is like Google has been saying for several years that college transcripts are worthless predictors of on-the-job performance.
Fair.
And Apple has also said that what universities are promising students, they're not delivering. And what they're doing is they're leaving students with debt and no life skills. IBM has been saying for the last couple of years, actually, 15% of their workforce has been people without the four-year traditional degree. So they've opened that up in the sense that they look for people who may have a bit more work experience or who may have taken some kind of like coding camps or some kind of a vocational training. So I think this is an interesting movement. And like I said, when the big boys say it, everybody takes notice. And so, but I think it's a natural progression as well, because there are a lot of issues with whether universities are becoming obsolete, whether the degree that a lot of people have now. We have an issue in this country, a major issue. We have got 200,000 people who graduate every year, and 1 in 5 that remains unemployed.
And it's pointless, because I was telling Jessie, as we were debating this before, my policy has always been, I don't look at the paper qualification. I look at how you interact with me as an employer, how you are able to take information and translate it and be able to feed it back. That is the initial indicator. And a lot of these paper qualifications that says that you have the CGPA of this and this does not translate to what you see right in front of you.
Well, I get that, but it's also about the quality of these students in terms of the quality of education they receive. Many universities, like you said, are becoming obsolete, but on the other hand, they're also just a business churning machine. They're not invested in really providing that kind of quality skills to the students, number one. Number two, though, degrees are still relevant. It shapes the way you think, whether it's a law degree, a degree in business administration, more so a sort of a highly skilled degree, you still need it,
I think the question right now is that you no longer need to use that same path to track you towards that critical thinking, that information, that knowledge is available because World Wide Web exists.
I mean, I'll address the first thing that you said about the fact that a lot of these universities probably need to change, because there was a major study done by Ernst & Young in Australia last year. And I think it was called the Universities of the Future. And what they found was that 50% of employers in Australia said that the quality of the business degrees were obsolete. The skills that they were actually teaching were not relevant to what was on the job demand. So universities themselves really have to change. I mean, this whole idea of that students are going to sit in a class, 40 people in a class, listen to an hour lecture, 2-hour lecture. I mean, we know people's attention span, especially the younger generation, is very low. So the universities themselves have to morph and transform. The other thing that you mentioned about, it's the discipline, it's the ability to think. But what we are seeing is that people are not able to think, because this is the comments that we're getting from a lot of HR people and from a lot of employers, is that people come with a degree, but when they are asked to think and be innovative and solve problems, they cannot think, because our education system has for the longest time told people be quiet, don't disagree, don't have an opinion.
It's
You
like a
just
feed
follow-
lot. So
Yeah,
you
just follow.
you go through the mill and then I feed you. I
Yes.
feed you. You know, next.
So we have a lot of young people coming out who don't have an opinion on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And communication, of course, is the number one issue that
Right.
in Malaysia we see that they cannot communicate. In today's world, the technical skills are not enough. You must be able to communicate well. Many people cannot speak English fluently.
So brings us back to the initial question: are degrees becoming worthless?
Yeah,
We still haven't answered that question per se.
So it's contextual, right?
Right.
Okay.
I think the way a lot of degrees are today are worthless
Right.
because we know industry is saying they are worthless, and Apple and Google and all that are saying, right? So it's not just me, but the big boys are saying. The reason why they're worthless is because universities are not changing fast enough. And what people are recommending, the strategists are saying, is that they need to unbundle a lot of the programs. Maybe not a 4-year program, but you pick and choose what you want.
Perfect.
And
I
then
like that.
maybe it's like a 6 months or a 1-year thing. So
Yeah.
that is where the change needs to happen. The question is, as you said, I'm not sure which one of you said that, they have become businesses. They are churning out graduates because we want to say we've got so many graduates, but the quality of our graduates are so poor.
So moving forward, we need to be able to educate the public in terms of the viewers, in terms of what's next, because there will be parents, as you said, would I let my child not have a degree?
Yeah, I would
That's the
not-
question.
Yeah,
They would not want
It's a
to
very
have
Asian
that.
thing as well.
Yes. So how do you move forward from that? Because to me, I totally am against having to needing a paper qualification, a degree, because the quality of the person is a quality that's in front of you.
But I think moving forward with technology and innovation and entrepreneurship in the future, you need to have a bit of both. You need to
Yes.
have, whether it's your family support that gives you that exposure, whether it's having being interested in different areas.
So how
of
do we balance that?
knowledge.
Do we dump that $100,000 on that degree that's going to put you in debt, or do we balance something like does it seem
Yeah.
half
Yeah,
measure?
it costs about $100,000 per child in Malaysia, average, from school to
Could be more,
university,
could be less,
right?
yeah.
So can you imagine if you've got 5 kids, that's $500,000 that you're spending. So, and most people we know cannot afford that kind of money. So, which is why there's going to be a huge demand for these sort of unbundled programs. So people go for coding camps. They, the TVET, we've spoken about TVET before, the technical and vocational skills, those kinds of certifications, which are more hands-on, are going to become increasingly valuable because the tech companies are saying we need these people, but we just don't have enough people, and we don't want to spend the money or the time taking in someone with a degree
training them.
and then training and
Yes.
reskilling them.
Right.
as
So
well.
basically, that is no more a huge criteria, the ultimate criteria
Yes.
as it used to be before.
no,
I'm
it's not the primary criteria.
So I'm asking right now
anymore,
the
yes.
mindset change that needs to happen, because it's not
Yes.
just mindset change of the person that is seeking this degree, because they will be looking towards what's the
Sure.
trend, whether or not the employers are open to this,
Yes.
whether or not the parents are open
Yes.
to this, whether or not the community and the
Yes.
industry is ready for not having someone who has a degree applying for a job and given the opportunity to even be given FaceTime.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's two sides to this. One is the companies themselves need to start publicizing. I think Malaysian companies, we don't hear this so much. But I would be curious to see what are their policies. Are they willing to take on someone who's got maybe 1 or 2 years experience, but shows that they have actually invested in themselves, they're constantly learning all these new skills. On the parent side, I understand the concern, but parents have to understand a lot of universities today are business oriented. A lot of the people who are teaching their children do not have industry experience. This is the reality, right? They don't have industry experience. So what are your children learning? Because textbooks are obsolete the moment they are printed as well. So I would say that for the parents, I think they need to understand, if you want your kid to have a good job, to have a good opportunity in the future, invest from the time they're in school. Send them to these camps.
Right.
Send them for communication skills. Send them for ability to writing skills, because these are all thinking and cognitive skills, problem solving skills. These are the things that you can still put on your resume.
Absolutely.
Who is to say you cannot put that on
Which
your resume?
sometimes universities fail to do, with school or universities.
Which in the end might turn them into an entrepreneur in themselves
Absolutely.
without even going to university.
Exactly. That is why all the Mark Zuckerberg Gates and
drop
all
out.
these
Bill
people
Gates,
dropped
Steve
out.
Jobs,
Yes.
yeah.
So there is an argument to be made about the discipline at universities as well, because people who are really entrepreneurial do not fit into that kind of very
Correct.
structured discipline as well.
All right. Thank
Great
you so much,
conversation.
Faridah.
Thank you,
That's
Faridah.
all the time that we have. We have to wrap this up. We'll take a short breather. When we come back, we have more stories to share with you. Stay tuned.